podcast in my tummy.
Wait for it.
It said it's live. But are we live?
Oh, that was
ASMR shit right there. Oh yeah.
That was what they say in the business is unceremonious.
In case you didn't catch it. Yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. Our entire live audience, all of you seeing us. Did I just get really loud?
Really loud. But that just saying the goose egg of people. It's just when you get really loud, your screen tends to freeze. So
yeah, I know I keep saying I'm gonna look into it, but like I it's one of those things like no IT guy would ever admit this, but sometimes you gotta prime the circuits and like everything tests well. They just kind of don't work very. It just, poops the bed.
It's
at the wrong
like,
time.
You're a restaurant guy. It's like a soft open. Shit's gonna go wrong. You're gonna work out the kinks. It's all good. I'll have to tell you this. First of all, I will be your bewildered, slightly disheveled Sadai.
I will be your ample bosoms.
I still like Pod Mistress, but yes, ample bosoms are never bad.
I'm just on the screen now. I am just always the Pod Mistress.
I think that's fantastic.
Hang on, I'm gonna move one level up and one level down. So tell me if I come back to center. Oh, actually, you know what? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's just fine. It's just fine. Is it just fine?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, I sound great, everybody. So fuck you.
And also, we've been working out this live thing, and Des isn't like editing out my horrible allergy and sinus problems. So I'm gonna really try not to like. Last week I couldn't breathe. The week before, 2 weeks before, I was like had like allergies out the ass and like just like constantly runny nose. So I went and got an Eddie pot, took a Benadryl.
Just imagine me going through and cutting out. Oh, you can't see my fingers. Going through and cutting out 100 audio pieces about that big.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best to not,
because I want a podcast, but I don't want to edit, folks. So suck it.
Yeah, I feel like I've been pretty good about not saying that things that we shouldn't say. I do have a mouth and poor impulse control.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent, i.e., We Mixed It LLC and Sounds Awesome, respectively. There you go. So what Fatty says...
Who even knows if it's true, right? Who even knows? I live, apparently I live in fantasy land. That's what I'm told. I was going to say if an angry Italian woman pops in the door and I have to mute really quick, don't worry about it. She's just saying that she really loves me and she's proud of my work.
Really loudly. And
I'm safe. Blink twice if you're safe.
Oh my God. Have you seen Blink Twice? I just watched that movie the other day. It's
new?
Yeah, it's very new, and yeah, I didn't really get it at first because the picture has the cover has a Polaroid on it, so I'm like, because I'd heard the Blink Twice if you're in trouble, but for some reason it didn't ring.
Is it on Netflix?
It is. No, I rented it on Prime. It's still in the theaters. So
I swear I've seen it advertised or something. Who's in it? Anybody famous or just kind of?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Is it Halloween-y, right? Kind of like psychological thriller.
Maybe is in it.
Okay.
Channing Tatum is in it. It's kind of a take on. It's like imagine if Epstein Island was even worse. So.
How's that happen?
You'll have to see it.
I don't know. I can pass. I watch enough true crime. I don't need to have fake crimes.
It's a good enough. It's good just because of the twist. Because you're watching and you're like,
okay.
Is anything?
I like psychological thrillers, especially.
It starts. It starts with a trigger warning. Like when a movie starts with a trigger, it's party time.
Yeah, you're like, okay, let's settle in, buckle up.
But we're not here. Oh, who are you? The pothead? Justin is the pothead.
This is a work shirt.
With his cheaters.
Yeah. I told you they say fatty and have pearls on them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, buddy.
So beautiful. So I did not listen to these episodes twice. These chapters twice. I've been doing pretty good of getting through them twice, but I did get through them very recently. Like I listened to them later in the evening while Cormac was at his tutor. So they're pretty fresh. And I dug up some decent sound bites, mostly stuff that you've been saying is kind of coming up. So it's just kind of interesting to listen to. Like, here
I have a couple short ones. So if we don't, whatever.
I'll play mine, and if you don't think I hit the mark, then you can play yours.
No, that's fine. The ones I got were just kind of like, you're probably going to touch on them anyway because they're a little funny. And there's a lot of important stuff, especially in the second chapter. Like there's lots of stuff to unpack, what Rand does and stuff. So, yeah, let's fucking get into it, baby.
Let's say what we're talking about, and then I'll get into my heart. Today we were talking about The Shadow Rising, chapter
20 and 21.
Winds Rising, and chapter 21. Women be shopping.
Leave takings, probably.
Yeah. Leave takings 17.
Leave takings volume 12. The mixtape.
I know I keep harping on it, but does Robert Jordan ever ease up on everyone?
Into the Heart is chapter 21. Sorry,
there we go. Does he ever?
Hey, whoa. Hey, we don't need all that. Settle down. Jeez.
Live. We're doing it live. Does he ever ease up at all, or just like forget about it for a little while that women are different than men, or is that like the thesis of all 15 of these books?
No, he really goes into it. I mean, yes and no, but he leans into it hard enough to where Brandon Sanderson tries to try to like kick the can on down the road with it, and his are somehow even more ridiculous. I know. Min starts using this word. I don't know if it was written for her dialogue before Robert Jordan died. I think it may just be a Sanderson thing. I tried to just forget that it was a different writer and just go through it. But he would he wrote Matt a lot differently, which I didn't hate because by that time I feel like he should be more outgoing and confident in himself because of the stuff that he's just like, look, I lived through shit. That's how it goes. Like, look, I know when it looks the worst. Just trust me. It's going to be all right. At least for now. And so he kind of writes him a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a little more Deadpool. He's a little more angsty, a little more smarmy, a little bit more smart-assy, like knowing like, what, you know what? Look, all I know is at this point, I don't fight Tavir, and I just go where the strings tug me and do what I do, and we're good. And I don't stress about it. And he's just kind of like, I mean, he stresses about it, but like internally. And like his internal, like the way Brandon Sanderson kind of writes him speaking and his internal little monologue is pretty good. Even though we don't get a ton of it, I don't hate it. Some people really hate it, but I enjoy it. And he makes men use this word called, like if I was saying, oh, you dumbass, like to you. It's like, oh, you stupid Luby. I'm just like, it's not my favorite.
That's so fetch.
Yeah. I say, give me a Luby when, things are happening. Ow, well, give me a Luby.
And by that time, Matt has probably cheated death so many times and rolled so many dice to just like, oh, if I need money, I can get money. If I'm almost
by book 10 or 11, he's cheated death a dozen times and I think died at least twice.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't cheat death. He dies.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's one of the things, like there's a lot to unpack this chapter. And then like, I was like, oh, like the first one, I was just, when Nynaeve and Elaine start going off, sometimes they have some really great shit and they have some really stuff that's just kind of like, that's great. Like all the Windfinder stuff that you get, this first chapter, they're actually on. I guess the last one we were talking about, we should probably clarify. They were just meeting with them on the boat to try to, secure passage or whatever. Now they're gone, and when they go to the boat, Tom and Julian Sandar, I don't know if you remember who he was. He kind of met up with them to help them when they first got to Tyr look for the Black Aja, but then he got Jedi mind trick, Imperius cursed into kind of betraying them and helping the Black Aja. But then he goes with Matt and helps rescue them. So technically he's a friend. He's a good guy. He was, like I said, getting Jedi mind trick to do the bad shit. So he's a good guy. So he's like waiting on the ship with Tom because are
they already on the ship when the women get on there?
They're there waiting, and they're like, they won't give us passage unless you say okay, basically. But even though sea folk don't really refuse passage to anybody, they will if they're like, one of my other passengers really doesn't like you, so sorry, catch the next one, no ticket.
Yeah, exactly. We no rocking this boat, and you're getting this boat a rocking.
But I can't remember who asked Julian to be there. But it was Moraine. We listened to Moraine asking Tom.
Yeah,
we talked about that chapter, and she was like, "Please, can you go with them? And if you go with them and protect them, then I'll tell you the Aes Sedai who wrongfully gentled your nephew."
That's
you're supposed to have a trial, and then you're supposed to be gentled in the tower. You're supposed to be taken care of afterwards, so you don't kill yourself, or at least
okay.
Like they're supposed to kind of like take care of you for the rest of your life, not just gentle you and be like, "See ya, good luck." And that's what they did.
So that's why what's his name is still alive, because I keep wondering why what's his name is still alive.
Usually it's like a capture, control, imprison until they feel like they're safe. So that's where Logain is. They were trying to do that to this dude named Mazrim Taim. He'll be coming up. Yes. It didn't work out, but they tried to channel him. But then Logain also, ends up being able to channel again down the line. But Tom's nephew could channel. They found him. I don't even know if they were like searching for him. I think they were some traveling Reds who were maybe hunting another man who could channel, and came to this village, and they started hearing people talk about this man who could do stuff, and that it was kind of getting worse. He was starting to kind of go mad, I think. And so things were starting, like they'd have crops when no one else did, but then it started to be bad stuff. And so they just kind of found him, figured out he could channel, gentled him, no trial, didn't just left him there. And he, I think, ended up jumping off a cliff within like a month or something, or a couple of weeks, something like that. So Tom's really bitter at Aes Sedai for that. But she was like, I will give you the names of the Reds who did it, because they did not act on Tower orders, and they may have even been Dark Friends. So Moraine was like, I will sell out my sisters because what they did was wrong. So
yeah.
And so that's why Tom goes, right? And then the Julian has Lan and Rand be like, yo, I'm going to pay you. And also, if you don't go with them and protect them, I'll kill you. And if anything happens to them, I'm going to kill you. So
I'm going to kill you.
Handle your business, or I kill you. Touch my stuff, I'll kill you. Hey, settle down, Francis.
You can either travel on to your certain death, or I'll kill you. I mean, you have choices.
It's really just basic math.
Who are we sponsored by tonight, Justin? What are you drinking?
Oh, dude. So last week it was 1742. This week it is Sazerac Rye.
Ooh, yeah.
Quite good. Quite nice. I like anything that's kind of like Buffalo Trace. A little caramely, a little vanilla, pretty smooth. Not too oaky, not too scotchy. I don't like the Scotch face. So.
You got that caramely to get you over your Dr. Pepper addiction.
It's just it goes well with the Dr. Pepper. I'm trying so hard to like cut back on the Dr. Pepper, bro. I've been getting these headaches. Ugh, I think I'm gonna die.
I just it's all I got left is caffeine and nicotine, so I'm letting the Dr.
Oh,
Pepper
I
out.
do lots of other shit, so I can give up Dr. Pepper, I guess. I need to quit drinking, but it's so yummy in my tummy.
It's so good. So here,
how many times have you seen Deadpool? Little sidebar. How many times have you seen Deadpool?
Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah.
Twice.
And pardon the vernacular, and I mean this is very positive. How gay are you for all the cameos?
I love it. I had a
like was it Jennifer Garner? She plays what, Elektra?
Yeah.
And Elektra's with Daredevil, and he's like, "Oh, Daredevil was killed." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." She's like, "It's fine," because it's played by Ben Affleck, her ex-husband.
Yes, that's right.
It's fine.
That's right. Fine. It's fine. It's fine.
And then, like I said, I will never not bust up, even just thinking about it. I will laugh out loud if I'm in the middle of talking to a customer. Watch her retarded. Fucking Wesley Snipes, dude. Oh my god. And also, I'm so homo for fucking Channing Tatum as Gambit. Like, I know Gambit's a little more Gambit's a little more gritty in the I mean, I'm not a huge comic guy by any means, so anybody who ever actually may listen to us, please don't crucify me. But what I do know about Gambit is that, he's a gambler. He's not always honest. He counts cards and palms cards and close up magic. We're not fucked at all. Like, but like Channing Tatum's portrayal of Gambit just makes my fucking heart happy. As heart happy as Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of Deadpool has made me, and how he wrote Hugh Jackman. This is how Hugh Jackman wanted to play Wolverine his fucking entire Marvel run, and it was
well, and I guess Channing Tatum has been trying to get himself into a Gambit movie forever.
He was telling a story, I think it was on like Jimmy Fallon, one of the late night shows, whatever, about how they were starting to do talks, and he was like, I'm going to put up some of my own money. I want to help with the writing. And they were getting really close to getting it made. And then some shit changed with like the Marvel universe or whatever. So it ended up getting,
he was probably making a deal with Sony.
Sort of like how Ryan Reynolds was trying to get Deadpool made for so long. I think, Channing Tatum was trying to like push for a Gambit movie. And while Channing Tatum is a great actor, I don't think he's as good of a writer or a producer as Ryan Reynolds. So I don't think he had as much pull and connections to kind of get it done like Ryan Reynolds did. But I love that Ryan Reynolds is hopefully, I would love to see a Gambit movie, first of all.
Yeah.
Totally. You could have Deadpool cameos. And first of all, like his fucking accent and stuff as Remy LeBeau. First of all, he's from down there, right?
I don't know if I did know that.
I think he's basically from fucking Baton Rouge, I think, or maybe he's from somewhere down there. He's definitely like a Cajun fuck. So his accent as Remy LeBeau, it was fucking money. So good. So good. And they got his his light staff down and his stuff with the cars, like really fucking good too. So.
I need to watch Deadpool and Wolverine again, because as much as I like Ryan Reynolds, I can get enough of him. And so
most of the time I can't, but I'd had enough of him in that movie kind of after he's like, I'm soaking wet. Like, he has great lines, but dude, Hugh Jackman steals that fucking movie, dude. And I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds kind of wanted it to be that way, which is fine, but like Hugh Jackman, man, I'm just as gay for him now too. I mean, I always liked him as Wolverine, but dude, after Deadpool Wolverine, like, come on, man. We need more of that team up all day.
Yeah, totally. I'm just excited for X-Men to get woven into Marvel. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I don't even really understand because I don't really keep up with that kind of shit. But
yeah, if you've seen the Doctor Strange movies, it's coming. Have you seen the
newest Doctor Strange movies?
Oh, it's basically time travel. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you love them. I love them. I thought they were great. If you do any more Doctor Strange movies, I would love to be on fucking Time Pop or whatever. I remember watching them kind of just like, Lisa went to the hospital one of the times when she was really sick, and Connor was having his kind of like mental breakdown when we had to move out of our house a little bit. He just was really stressed out. It was during COVID. There was lots of shit. And he was just kind of like, kicked into like 10-year-old for like a week.
Yeah.
A little bit longer than a week, but like really bad for a week. Like drawing pictures were like, you're a crazy good artist. This looks like stuff you drew when you were 10.
Wow.
But we just kind of started. It was weird. I don't know what it was. I think he was doing a lot of RSO, and it just, anyways, I don't know.
Well, he probably regressed to the last time he got uprooted and moved.
Probably. I don't know. I'm fucking a psychotic mess myself. So what the fuck do I know? But, he's doing fantastic now. But he went through a couple of months where he was having he was freaking out about the water he drank. Just weird.
Oh, wow.
But Lisa got really sick and was in the hospital, and I was just at home taking care of him. And we just started watching the Marvel movies. He was like, "Hey, can we watch all the Marvel movies?" And I was like, "Dude, cool. Do you want to do them in order?" He was like, "That's what I mean." I was like, "Let's look up the timeline." So we just started watching shit, and we got up to the Doctor Strange movies. So pretty far, right? I mean, we were getting closer. Like we were getting through them. We skipped a few, but like I had never watched Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. So it was really cool. But I kind of just watched the Doctor Strange movies, and I remember he had fallen asleep, and I was just like, I was riveted. I loved it.
Put down your PlayStation controller and
yeah. Well, to me, what Doctor Strange does is a lot like channeling. That's why I'm kind of going off on it, is because when he rips a hole in the air, that's what I imagine traveling to look like. And some of the things that he does with his ring, it reminds me of things that you would do with the power. He used elemental stuff a lot. So totally. It's cool. Totally. Plus his cape is pimping.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Anyways, get back to what we were talking about.
All right. The Wheel of Time, the Shadow Rising.
Hey, we'll do it live.
Oh, we're doing it live. Let me see. Here we go. Anyway. This one is going to be.
Perhaps you might study how I keep calm.
Kate reading. Let's go.
Chapter 20. I'm not sure exactly where this is.
The two men straightened as she and Nynaeve approached.
So
around them, the crew bustled, swarming into the rigging.
I can't hear you. You're in the fucking book. That's all I hear is the book.
They moved around the foreshore.
Oh, is it?
Elaine frowned at Tom.
You were talking the whole time. I just heard book.
They are keen on watching Outlanders. I can help you with a good many things.
That
familiarity tickled at Elaine's mind again.
Yeah. No, I started. Okay, so I'm going to pause it now. The next time it starts, it's going to be where I want it to be.
Okay, great.
And I may have to turn it up a little bit so I can hear it, or maybe I can turn it up in my head.
As read by Kate Reading and Michael Kramer, I think is his name.
Kate Reading.
And I think Michael Kramer. Is it Michael?
Take close an interest in your doings. They are keen on watching Outlanders. I can help you with a good many things. That familiarity tickled at Elaine's mind again. Before she realized what she was doing, she reached up and tugged at one of his long white mustaches. He gave a start, and she clapped both hands to her mouth, flushing crimson. Forgive me. I seemed to remember doing that before. I mean, I am sorry. Why did I do that? He must think me an imbecile. I would remember, he said, very stiffly. She hoped he was not affronted. It was hard to tell from his expression. Men could be offended when they should be amused, and amused when they should be offended. If they were going to be traveling together, that was the first time she realized that she had decided they could come. Nynaeve, she said. The other woman understood the unspoken question, of course. She studied the two men thoroughly, then nodded. They may come. As long as they agree to do as they are told. I'll not have some wool-brained man going his own way and endangering us. As you command, Mistress Almira, Sandar said immediately with a bow. But Tom said, a gleeman is a free soul, Nynaeve. But I can promise I will not endanger you. Far from it. As you are told, Nynaeve said pointedly. Your word on it, or you will watch this ship sail from the dock. The Atha on the air do not refuse passage to anyone, Nynaeve. Do you think not? Was the thief...
So, that might have been the wrong spot. I was having trouble hearing it. I got to fix the audio on my side. Is that where she mentions that she feels like she knows Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She starting to feel familiar with him. Like she reached up and tugged on his mustache. That was something that she did when she was a little girl.
Did he used to spend time with the I mean, I know I probably shouldn't know this yet, but I'm just going to make you look forward for me. Since she is royalty, has he spent some time playing games in the Royal Gardens?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they've talked about it a little bit. Moraine kind of lets the cat out of the bag during their little conversation where she's kind of like asking, kind of like manipulating, kind of blackmailing him to go with Elaine, and he knows who Elaine is. He knows that he knew her as a little girl.
Right.
He was like, that's your Uncle Tom, because he was her mother's consort while he was the court bard. So that was he was the court bard. That was how he stayed close to Morgaze, and people didn't know they were lovers, but he spent so much time with her it was what do you call it? Like the secret that's not a secret. It's kind of like a known thing, but nobody talks about it, right?
Like
and he was kind of, yeah, and he was her lover for many years. They were very close. They would have married had he not been a bard slash gleeman. And then I forget, they get into it. He fights with her when he takes off to go to Owen. He hears about Owen getting gentled. I think Owen's wife wrote him, perhaps.
Yes.
He hears about Owen getting gentled, and he goes, and by the time he gets there, he's killed himself. So Tom is, but then he couldn't go back to Morgaze because he just up and dipped and didn't really say anything to Morgaze, didn't say why, because he didn't want to be like, oh, well, my nephew channels, and that would be really bad for the throne politically, right? At that point in time. So he just leaves. And so she's furious with him and it was like, if you ever come back, I'm going to take your head. You left me, off with his head type thing. And but Elaine's starting to realize that she has familiar feelings, almost like a father that she doesn't remember, because he was around until she was like 3 or 4 probably.
So, but Tom hasn't always been a gleeman, because Moraine said like before you were, I thought she said something about like, I know what you were before.
He was a bard. He was a court bard. Like he would go, that's, he was a court bard, and then he became the court bard of Camelin and, consort of the queen, but unspoken kind of thing.
What's a bard?
But not a lot of, just, you got a jester, you got a gleeman, you got a bard. It's like, so
it's gleeman-esque.
It's a classier version of a gleeman. Oh, are you a pop singer or are you an opera singer?
Okay. So he has always kind of been a gleeman. A gleeman is a bard on the road.
He's like the king of all gleemen. Plus, he's like a badass to the point of like he ends up becoming a warder at some point. That's how tight he is.
Oh.
He gets bonded to an Aes Sedai at one point. I won't tell you which one.
Yeah, because I
bet you could guess. But...
good with the knives.
I wish Tom were here. He understands girls.
Better be Elaine. No.
Nope.
Tom understands women.
And therein lies your answer.
There we go. Tom's a grown-ass man. I got skills and I know it. Awesome. I'm going to do
Rain's going to disappear and come back getting nailed by the gleeman.
I'm going to do one more from this chapter, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it, because this we definitely got into last week a little bit.
Okay.
For once, it was not Jorin's state of dress or undress that bothered Elaine. The glow of a woman embracing Saidar surrounded her, clearly visible despite the lurid light. That was what she had felt, what had drawn her, a woman channeling. Elaine stopped short of the stern deck to study what she was doing. The flows of air and water the windfinder handled were cable thick, yet her weaving was intricate, almost delicate, and it reached as far as the eye could see across the waters, a web drawn across the sky. The wind rose higher, higher, the wheelmen strained, and Wave Dancer flew through the sea. The weaving stopped. The glow of Saidar
Secret bong hits.
The rail leaning on her hands. Elaine climbed the ladder quietly, yet the sea folk woman spoke in a soft voice without turning her head as soon as she was near enough to hear. In the middle as I worked, I thought that you were watching me. I could not stop then. There might have been a storm even Wave Dancer could not survive. The Sea of Storms is well named. It will throw up bad winds enough without my help. I meant not to do this at all, but Coeen said we must go quickly, for you and for the Coromor. She raised her eyes to peer at the sky. This wind will hold until morning if it pleases the light. This is why the sea folk do not carry Aes Sedai, Elaine said, taking a place beside her at the rail. So the tower won't learn windfinders can channel. That is why it was your decision to let us aboard, not your sister's. Jorin, the tower will not try to stop you. There is no law in the tower to stop any woman channeling, even if she is not Aes Sedai. Your white tower will interfere. It will try to reach onto our ships, where we are free of the land and landsmen. It will try to tie us to itself, binding us away from the sea. She sighed heavily. The wave that has passed cannot be called back. Elaine wished she could tell her it was not so, but the tower did seek out women and girls who could learn to channel, both to bolster the numbers of Aes Sedai, dwindling now compared to what they once had been.
So,
questions?
The only question I really have is, I swear, I don't think it's in that clip, but at some point they say, like, every ship has a wind mistress and some can channel?
No, pretty much all of them could channel. It's just a matter of like, they're all pretty strong, but this gal happens to be very strong in the power for one. Also, Elaine is coming to the realization that pretty much every, if not every, most, and certainly the ones who are going to be going across the ocean have wind finders on them because, like she said, they were going to have a storm. There was going to be really big waves, and she's able to control the weather in a way where she can calm that, or at least, I don't know, clear them a path through the storm, or at least keep it away until they can get to where they need to be. And generally, they may only be strong in controlling the weather, but they can channel a good amount. That may be their specialty. Usually, there's talents with the capital T, and they manifest themselves all different ways. And that's one of them, being able to work with the weather. They can control tides a little bit, and wind and rain and stuff like that. So
some of them can produce some wind behind the sails, but they don't really know they don't really understand how they're doing it, and they can't do anything else but that. So they wouldn't.
Well, they know how to move the wind, but like, okay, I can make the ship go fast, or I could slow it down, or I could kind of go left. But there's other ones that can do even more than that.
Right, but the ones that can just put a breeze in the sails don't consider themselves channelers. They're just like, I don't know.
No, they consider themselves channelers. It's very secretive. They don't want the Aes Sedai to know. That's why they're really leery about having an Aes Sedai aboard, because Aes Sedai can sense women who can channel even if they're not channeling. And then you have someone who is pretty strong, even if it's just in kind of like one discipline, if you will, of the power.
Yeah.
And they certainly, it costs them time, it costs them money, because they're not channeling to move the ship faster and keep them safe. So they are kind of like throwing that out the window, because they're like, they're looking for the Koromor, which is Rand, who's the Dragon Reborn, right? And they're like, look, we work for him. He's our boy. So, can we work this out? So they agree to take them across and decide to basically channel in front of them, even though something that's like, I don't want to say against their custom, but I don't want to say forbidden, but it's something that they just generally don't do, because they don't want,
it's dangerous. You could lose.
The Aes Sedai, it's like the Jedi. They're going to come take your children. So
yeah,
it's like they don't want the Aes Sedai coming looking for their strongest channelers all the time when they need them. For the sea folk basically own the seas. And so they're like, I'm not trying to have you take our strongest channelers, period. They'll send one of their decently strong people to them like every few years to keep them away.
Right. Because they're cutting this.
There's a few sea folk Aes Sedai, but most of they'll just like, it's kind of like they know that they have to go to the tower to keep the Aes Sedai from coming to look for them, basically. Right. And it's like, this is your duty.
She's basically cutting this trip in half, which if you're moving your ship
and keeping them from getting, destroyed, this is like Christopher Columbus type stuff. If you're sailing in a real bad squall, you might get fucking destroyed, no matter how great of a sailor you are and how great your ship is. Mother Nature's a motherfucker. So, it's a big deal.
Other than Shan Chan, are there pirates in this universe?
Yeah, for sure. So Bail Doman's kind of a pirate. I mean, he's more of a smuggler than a pirate, but
But that's why the Wind Talker can keep them in front of the pirates. They can.
Well, and they make a mention of them fighting off a Shan Chan ship, and they had a Damani on there. So obviously she was stronger than their Damani, who is basically trained in war. And she's not. Hang on a sec. Apparently the puppies are sick of her shit too. Great. Hi, babies. Hi, guys. We've got some extra Wolf Brothers in here.
All right. Puppies. Where's my puppies?
There's a store, baby, to Wolf Brother. And then there's Winston. You can't really see Winston because he's dark as midnight.
Yes, he is. He is in that corner.
Aww. He's so cute, man. He's like wants friends. We got to get a puppy eventually so bad. He wants friends. He will go to the dogs. We have 3 dogs that live like in the corner, and he will run at him and like, oh, look how good I am at playing, like bring a bunch of toys. And then he's like, well, they want to play with me.
Ooh.
Like he just doesn't understand it. It makes me so sad.
That's why I hate going to the dog park, but I go 3 or 4 times a week just for Diesel. Because
dog parks are so stressful, man, because some people are just dumb fucks and they don't,
if you frequent the same dog park at the same time, you'll get to know the crew and the dogs, and your dogs will get, I just started going to a new
know who to avoid.
I just started going to a new dog park, and like the first 3 or 4 times I went there, it was like under 10 minutes, and now everyone knows them. The dogs know them. The dog, Chip and Diesel. Chip,
do you just take Diesel or do you take Chip too?
No, I take them both, but Chip's just following his ball. Like Chip's not paying attention to anybody or any dogs, and Diesel's running around. Diesel likes dogs. He loves people. So basically, he just walks to all the people and gets a pet, and then we leave.
It's my favorite part about my job is the dogs that come in, man.
Oh, you got an open dog policy at your?
For sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
As long as your dog behaves, you can bring your dog in. There's this he was a Corgi mini Aussie mix, or just Australian Shepherd Corgi mix. This fucking just walk behind the counter. He's like, "Where's the treats, bro?" All right, we butt tending. What are we getting him? Joints. Come and hung out with me the whole time. Like their parent was inside, and he just come and hang out with me and butt tended until they left, like 10 minutes. So great.
Oh, that is so
much fun. So much fun.
That's sweet. My doggies got some. They had to smell the pork shoulder roasting all day today, so they got pork for dinner. So
that was Tuna's special torture. If you were making like a pot roast or Irish stew, he would just sit there and be like, no, wouldn't make a sound, just stared at it. I got this. I'm gonna keep an eye on it for you.
You're gonna give me some, right? I watch it. You feed me. Is that how this goes?
Are we good?
Oh, we good.
Yeah. Tom starts. Tom goes into some stories about how things change. And while he's doing that, Elaine is just really noticing his mannerisms and how he acts, and she's just like, how do I know this cat?
Yeah,
how do I know this cat? And then, but like those are the two of the main things: is that you realize that Tom and Elaine have a past from this chapter, and then you realize that the Windfinders are keeping a pretty big secret. That's why they don't spend a lot of time on land. Also, they like to roll around topless, which I don't know why you can't do that. It's fine. Who doesn't love a perfect pair? But
not polite on land life.
How mad she was when she came in and served the tea. She's like, "What's the matter with you? Disgusting. With your nipples out."
Kelly was what's the word I'm thinking of? Decor. That's what Kelly was she had to get an MRI. And it was up on her shoulder, so she had to disrobe a little bit, and she had to take a couple Xanax to get herself ready to get put in the tube. And so she's a little bit.
The tube. I'll get fucking naked, but to get in that tube, I'm gonna need a couple Xanax too.
Yeah, and so the guy's like, "Okay, we're gonna need you to disrobe," and she just starts ripping off her bras. And he goes, I'll step outside for decorum." And then he's like, well, and then he had to tell her a couple more things. He goes, I'm going to step outside. And Kelly goes, for decorum. He goes, yeah. It's so funny.
That's pretty awesome, dude. That's like me. I remember the first time I went to get a massage. I think they were like, yeah, just go ahead and, I think she's like, get undressed to your level of comfort. I'm just like,
yeah, here's my balls. I'm comfortable.
Look, I have a lot of lower back pain. Fucking, I don't care if you do backflips, but get the knots out.
If you need to get to the knots through my asshole, do it. It's just whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
you gotta start at the feet. You gotta punch me in the eye. Just make my back stop hurting. I don't care. It's fine.
Work it out.
I got this customer made me blush the other day. I said something about my fucking big clumsy feet or something. She's like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, size fucking 13. I'd step on everybody." She's like, "Oh, you bragging?" Like, huh? She's like, "Big hands too, eh?" And I was like, "What?" And then she just smiled at me. I was like, "Oh!" I'm like, "Oh, you stop it! You stop it!" Bright red.
Totally, just like the hairs on my weed.
Delicious. That's really all I got for that chapter.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty much covered. Like I said, there's some stuff in there, but there's really a lot to unpack in this chapter, so we should get it.
They're out to sea, and now we're on to the Shadow Rising, chapter 21. What's it called?
They're out to sea. Everyone's topless except Nynaeve, and she thinks everyone's a bunch of whores.
Into the Heart. So I really need you to set the stage because, as usual, I'm
Okay.
still having a hard time believing all these people are in the same city.
So do you understand what's going on here? Like, just roughly, like, just tell me what you think's happening.
Well, I'm having a hard time because I don't think that we really spent any time with Rand, which I know was on purpose because the writer wants the reader to be as confused as the rest of the characters in the show. And now all of a sudden Rand takes the main stage and does what?
So he's been dropping Easter eggs, going through the doorway, getting answers. Moraine's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Moraine really wants him to attack Ilian because there's a Forsaken who has kind of gained power there. I don't think he's like in charge, but he's in the Senate. You know what I mean? Like he's close enough to affect things. He's kind of like Palpatine was before he became, Chancellor, right? He's on the side. He's affecting things. He's doing stuff. Moraine really wants Rand to call Tyr's armies and go get him. And Rand's like, nah, I got my answers. I'm not doing that. But this is him calling an audience like a king or,
like a
whatever. King. Yeah.
Or
what Ned Stark would do. It's what Ned Stark would do.
Yes.
He's gonna call a meeting. He's gonna let everybody know what his plans are, what he's gonna do. And so Moraine's just as in the dark as everybody else. She doesn't know shit. She's like, what's he gonna do? So she's kind of stressed out. She's mad at Lan because she's like, his loyalty isn't just to me anymore. He's obviously like splitting himself, which is not what he's supposed to do as a warder. You are almost magic bound to not do that. So that's how strong his bond with Rand is and how much he's fallen in love with Nynaeve. So that's really important because there's not a lot of things that can kind of make you ignore your bond to your Aes Sedai, right? But because he cares about Rand in kind of a fatherly sense, that's a splintering part of his heart that Moraine's concerned about, even though it's still in a roundabout way is dedicated to what they're trying to do, which is defeat the Shadow, right? That's what they need is people on his side. So she's frustrated with Lan more about like, hey man, like you love this woman. Are you really going to choose to protect me over her if it comes down to it, as you are magically bound to do? And he is kind of defying that, which is not supposed to, no, it's not supposed to be possible, but it takes a lot of force of will, right?
If he would basically kill himself if he were unbonded, then to just disobey that bond it's got to take a lot of effort.
Right. Which is weird because if she were to die, he would be so driven to die. Even his love for Nynaeve might not save him.
Right.
Which, so it's kind of like this double-edged sword. That's like, they both kind of get the best and the worst of Lan, unfortunately. Rand just gets to bro out with him.
It's not that Lan wouldn't protect Moraine. He just, if he was caught in a Batman situation and could only save one,
he might hesitate and they'll both die.
Oh
shit. But that's part of her concern, right? And then he comes up and he basically and it's really short, but you get a little clip of Moraine kind of dissing the wise ones or dismissing the wise ones as far as like, yeah, I got their letter. Well, I don't know how right they are, but it's like, they're dead on. They know exactly what's going on because they're dreamers and they spend every night in Tel'Riyadh watching everybody else. So they're pretty good at kind of having their finger on the pulse, if you will. So she kind of disses them, and that's not smart. She already knows that she's supposed to head to the waste. She's kind of like mocking Egwene, or maybe that's not the right word. She's like, I feel sorry for Egwene because she's having to watch Rand cavort with Elaine like he's just some kind of like teenage boy like throwing his dick around. And it's like, Egwene already knows. Elaine, they've already worked all that shit out, and that Moraine doesn't even know about it. So you're seeing how little Moraine knows at this point, honestly, and it's really driving her crazy because that's what Moraine is, nothing if not prepared, right? And she's like, I don't know what Egwene's doing. I don't know where the fuck Perrin is. I know Matt's here, but he's looking at me like the cat that ate the canary. And Rand's got the fucking calendar in his hand, and he's got some fucking weird grin on his face, and he's all sweaty. And so she's just like, I don't know what's about to happen. And you got to keep in mind, Rand's like 19. He's 20.
Yeah.
So she's like, what is this silly boy going to do? But Rand is already starting to
he's taking
he's adapting the anxiousness that he doesn't even know that he has inside of him,
Yes. Yeah. He's definitely tapping into some power. Like, I mean, his ability to, in this scene, he's sending grains all over the place, some of it to sell, some of it to give away to make sure that the people are taken care of. His, because he knows he's going to need to raise an army at some point. So he wants everybody to be like, I'll go to hell for that guy because my family didn't die this winter.
Right. And also one of his things is, the way he was raised in a small kind of country, say it's like help your neighbor. He's already trying to leave a legacy that is not just destruction and killing. He wants to be something greater. He's like, I don't want to he's like, if I destroy the world completely and defeat the Dark One, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
He's like, I want to leave something better than we have now. So you gotta think, even now, he's already thinking in a bigger way. Like, Moiraine is really underestimating him. And I think one of Rand's things is that a lot of people underestimate him throughout.
Well,
that's a big theme in the whole Wheel of Time thing.
Moiraine is more one-sided than he is, because Moiraine is like, just go here and handle your business. And he's like, I need to handle all the, because like I was like, the world is still broken and Rand wants to mend it, not just dispatch the evil that is in the gorge.
He's like, if you dispatch the evil and everybody else is still fucked off, what's the point? You're still leaving the world broken, and that kind of leaves the cracks for the Dark One to kind of creep back in.
Yep.
In a way. So, I mean, for story purposes. So he's already trying to think bigger, and like that's a big, people get underestimated. Moiraine gets underestimated by Bilal. No scopes his ass with balefire. Boom. He like laughs at her, and the next thing, that motherfucker was dust motes. You know what I mean? So that's something, it's kind of a classic trope, but people underestimate Perrin for a while. People underestimate Matt, or they always write Matt. Maybe they don't really underestimate Matt. They write him off because he's like, oh, he's just not responsible. He's gonna be out drinking and carousing. He's like, yeah, and that dude's gonna be there at 5:45 to cook brunch before all you motherfuckers.
And Matt is Targaryen. He's gonna be where he needs to be when he needs to be there.
When he needs to be there, even if he doesn't even know how he got there.
Exactly. Even if he fucks off all night, he'll still be in the right place. So
Yep.
So Rand's up there talking. He's getting grain sent to the right places, and then this happens.
Jerking his head up, Rand appeared startled, or perhaps angry. I will not be with you. I am going away for a time. That certainly brought silence again. Every eye was on him.
On holiday.
All on Callandor. The crowd flinched as he lifted the crystal blade before his face. Sweat rolled down his face, much more sweat than before. The stone held Callandor before I came. The stone should hold it again until I return. Suddenly, the transparent sword blazed in his hands. Whirling it hilt uppermost, he drove it down, into the stone floor. Bluish lightning arced wildly toward the dome above. The stone rumbled loudly, and
Don't
the stone...
answer. Do you know why he's sweating?
Even screaming people from their feet. Moiraine pushed Egwene off of her while tremors still reverberated through the chamber and scrambled erect. What had he done? And why? Going away? It was the worst of all her nightmares. The Aiel had already regained their feet. Everyone else lay stunned or huddled on hands and knees, except for Rand. He was on one knee, both hands holding Callandor's hilt, with the blade driven halfway into the floor stones. The sword was clear crystal again. Sweat glistened on his face. He pried his hands away, one finger at a time, held them cupped around the hilt, yet not touching it. For a moment, Moiraine thought he was going to take hold of it again, but instead he forced himself to his feet. He did have to force himself. She was certain of it. Look at this while I'm gone. His voice was lighter, more the way it had been when she first found him in his village, but no less sure or firm than it had been moments before. Look at it, and remember me. Remember I will come back for it. If anyone wants to take my place, all they have to do is pull it out. He waggled a finger at them, grinning almost mischievously. But remember the price of failure. Turning on his heel, he marched out of the chamber, the Aiel falling in behind him.
So is he bound to the sword? Is that why he's sweating? Because he's unbonding to it?
No. So, first of all, he he's doing a couple things here. He's kind of like, hey, just because I'm not here, don't think that I can't fucking still come back and wreck shop. And also, in a way, he's not bonded to it or anything, but he is unburdening himself. He's sweating with the effort of controlling the amount of power that Kalendor, like, he's already really strong in the power. Every time he channels, he has to be like, oh, I want to fucking blow some shit up, because he's an 18-year-old boy. What do 18-year-old boys do? They break shit.
Yes, they do.
Right? And so he doesn't know how to deal with this rate. It's like Cyclops. What do I do with my fucking eyes? Like, he's got all this power in him. He doesn't know what to do with it. And when he even just grabs a hold of Kalendor, it's like, he's like, if you've ever seen like the second Spider-Man movie with Jamie Foxx as the bad guy, when he like taps into the electrical grid, think of it like that. He's already that dude, and then he taps into the fucking Kalendor, the power, which is just like, and he is struggling to control, the madness, the raging torrent of power. You don't surrender to Sidene like the females do surrender to Sidar. You have to fight it, or it will kill you. Yes. And so he's not ready to even think about that much power as far as the one power yet, much less try to do something with it. So he's like, I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put some really good traps on it that I know will, like, you put a good enough trap on it, like, anyone who would have to sit there long enough to unravel it with the power and not get incinerated by the trap is going to get caught by somebody else. And so it's a reminder. It's also safe in the stone. And he can like go do what he's got to do without having that constant, like, get that fucking hit, bro. Because it's like, just imagining if you were crazy powerful with magic and then suddenly you were fucking 10 times more powerful. There is no amount of self-control that will stamp out every single bit of arrogance that would cause in your body and your mind. And you would not, I think, plan very well as a general or a head of state or the savior of the world, the prophet. He's buying himself time. He's buying himself the world time.
It's like walking around with an ounce of the madman from Pulp Fiction. Like, no, I'm just going to carry this. I'm just going to carry this around. And
special occasions, New Year's,
Yeah. I'll get an 8-ball. It'll last the whole weekend.
4 hours later, same 3 guys. That's that's the most like real world like comparison I could think of, because whatever you're greedy about, some people are money, whatever, but like it's like that. And it's Rand is smart enough to know, like, hey man, I'm not ready for this. The world's not ready for this. I have things I need to do, because he's been studying the prophecies, and whether that's good or bad, whether he's reading too much into it or not enough, or doing it incorrectly, he's buying himself time, because he's like, I want to figure some shit out, because I want to do it. He's already got that kind of ancient wisdom of like, I want to do it right this time. And he doesn't even realize why he feels that way. And we will learn why he feels that way in book 5 for sure.
And he can't walk away. Like, he can't just go back to the Two Rivers and be
he could.
I don't
but that's not in his DNA. It's not in his makeup. Being Aiel at heart and then raised by Tam. And you'll see, the more you see about Elaine and her mom, they're just as stubborn as the Two Rivers people.
But he couldn't, whether he accepts it or not. He's the fucking dragon, right? So
I don't know. They talk about stuff like that as like, maybe the dragon was born 10 times and died already.
Right. But they either died young or they died trying to dragon without them knowing they were trying to dragon.
Or, some shadow killed them in their crib, or...
and now that he's proclaimed the dragon, like, he would be followed. Like, he can't retire. They would find him, especially being Terviran and the dragon. Like, yeah, he might be born the 11th time, but they got to kill this one for him.
They got to kill him for the 11th time too, or stop him from realizing. Even if they just stop him from realizing who he is, maybe they just, right out of high school, you're pregnant and you marry your wife and you live happily ever after, and you're a farmer and you don't ever desire anything else, and you don't ever really realize that you can channel, like it could be that too. It doesn't necessarily have to be nefarious. It sometimes maybe is a semi-happy life. He just doesn't realize who he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest athletes who were ever born, we never got to see because they got a girl pregnant at prom.
They got on drugs, or they got an injury, or they decided, hey, I'm really good at this, but I don't like it.
The athletes we have are the ones that followed through. And they're good, don't get me wrong. But the fastest runner in the world, we've never seen him. We've just seen the ones that signed up.
A couple of the best athletes I ever knew are dead.
Yeah.
Car
that kind of, that kind of power. That power drives you mad. Yep. I would have, not that I could have definitely gone pro, but I feel like if I had focused on a sport, I could have gone a decent way with it, AAA baseball or college football.
Oh yeah, I could have made the minor leagues for sure.
But
easily.
I'd be dead.
I would have been right there on the cusp, I think, of AAA and major leagues, but I didn't like baseball. I came to the realization that it was bullshit.
If I was humping buses with a bunch of 21-year-olds, I'd be fucking dead.
Yeah. Or I'd kill one of them.
I would have drank myself.
Either way, your life's over. Yeah, either way, your life's done. Totally. I'm dead. They're dead. I'm in jail. People make me angry. I don't know.
I am fucking tired. Oh, go ahead.
I'm tired too, but one of the things I want to say that's important, a couple of things I want to say. So Moraine doesn't know what Rand's going to do.
Oh,
she's really worried. She's really worried he wants to go to the two rivers and save them. And Rand's like, come on, man. Who are you talking to? I know I can't do that. But Perrin's gonna. And Matt's going to come with me. We already talked about it. So, cool. And then, let's see.
Did you see me up there on stage? I was covering the bases, Moraine.
Right. Well, and like everybody's kind of, they're like, oh, Dillian will fall. Everybody's expecting her to just be a destroyer. And Rand's like, I want to be anything but that. I know that I'm going to have to do those things, but that is not what I want to be known for. We get later, he starts trying to start schools in every nation about like philosophy and trying to move things forward, which is, I think, is one of the aspects of the story that's really cool when we get into it. He's not just a warmonger, even though people are kind of wanting him. Even Moraine's like, you need to go conquer. And he's like, I'm not ready for that yet, and which shows his wisdom already, which is pretty cool, I thought. She's worried he's been corrupted by land fear as well. She's like, which does track with the show a little bit.
Yes,
in a much different setting, right? But Moraine's incredibly worried that he's gonna either fall in love with land fear or be corrupted by her or become her lover or whatever.
Could the next time we see Rand in the show be this scene? Has he done anything really of note to this point? The show's already jumped over a lot of shit. Could we just
maybe something similar? But we don't even have Calendar yet.
That's right.
So, but I also think I saw some things that What Up John was talking about is that they may kind of slide that around later and tier stuff later. Like he may go to the waste and then come back and take the stone, which is okay. And that would make sense to me. But so we could get something like that, but where he's not conquered anywhere yet. So maybe halfway through the season, but or maybe we start off where people saw him make the dragon, Moraine thing where last season ended and they start to worship him there or something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I say maybe something similar, but definitely not that, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things you see too, a lot of the things that Rand does is very shrewd politically, and it's the stuff that Tom and Moraine were talking about, getting rid of some of people who really oppose Rand and would probably try to assassinate him if left to their own devices. And Tom, got the one lady to poison her husband, and after he, all that shit. So he's very shrewd with where he moves people around and who he leaves kind of in charge in his stead. So you're seeing that, he's not just a farm boy. He's learning, and Tom has helped him an immense an amount, especially like Days de Mar, Game of Houses, that kind of shit. Rand is, he's a farm boy, but he has learned the political game because he's kind of getting coached by Elaine too when they hang out. So between Elaine and Tom, he's getting a crash course in fucking how to deal with, lords and ladies and that sort. I think that's it. He tells Moraine he's going to the race at the end, right? Yep. And he's feeling some crazy, but it's not Sidene. It's like, I'm stressed out this month. I got too much shit to do. I don't have enough money, and it's fucking Christmas.
I'm gonna hit the road. I'm gonna go walk the earth a little bit. I'm going somewhere, so I'll get there and I'll handle my business. But I need a minute. Need a road trip.
As the Australians say, go on a walkabout, mate. We'll do that.
Is she just talking shit outside the door?
Oh, can you hear? I'm sorry.
It's all right. This is the first time I've heard it. I just thought it was funny because it was at 1 hour on the dot. So I was wondering if she's like, "That's your 60 minutes. I'm coming in." All right, folks. Well, I am tired this week. We told some stories at the beginning of the show, so those are your stories for the week. And next week, we're going to talk about chapter 22 and 23. 23 is a little longer one, so maybe something will happen. Maybe. I mean,
I was going to say, you better buckle up because it's about to get there's lots of shit that's about to go down. I'm actually really excited for the next few. So,
and I know stuff.
I'm always excited to talk to you about it, stuff, but like, there's about to be a lot of shit going on. So,
I'm not such an action nerd that I can't understand how important these chapters are. But I like it when they get punctuated every once in a while with some real shit going down. So I'm excited for that. And I just realized I'm talking about where I think season 3 might start, but if season 3 is going to be this book, we're not even halfway through it yet. So I still have a lot.
I feel like season 3 will start somewhere where we're about to get to, or maybe a little setup for one episode and then jump right to where we're about to be. They get to the waist really quick, Des. We'll just say that. Because
I forget we took a decent jump between season 1 and season 2. So we could easily do that. We could just find some people. I mean, we could just find Matt. It could start with Perrin going into the waves with. Well, no, because we need it.
I've heard that Matt and Tom go to Tenchico, so I'm thinking that Matt will take the place of Julian on the boat.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of crappy because Matt is supposed to go to Redan as part of his book arc for sure. So I'm not saying he can't get back there, but maybe he'll go through a doorway there.
Does it have to be Ryudan, or does it just have to be people from Ryudan? Like, could he bump into those people somewhere else, maybe?
Well, just the doorway that he goes through. Like, he goes with Rand to Ryudan, and he's kind of waiting for Rand, and he sees another doorway like he saw in Tyr, and he's like, "Motherfucker, I'm gonna go get my answers." And he goes through, and then they're like, "You're not supposed to be here."
Yeah.
But so maybe he, there's caches of Turingriel everywhere. That's really easy to write into the show. So, even him and Rand could come across each other after they go through the doorways or something. I highly doubt any of that's going to happen, but, fingers crossed, right?
I doubt all of this. But one thing's for sure, folks, may you always find water and shade and put your dagger in the horn box.
Peace favor your sword, and don't worry, I'm sure we'll spend an entire episode about Seafolk customs.
We're going to talk about boobies next week.
No, we're not. Peace out, nerd. Love you, brother.
Right, love you. Leave your laptop open.
Will do.
All right. Love you, bro.
Later, man.